We got some pretty big news yesterday as TSN's Darren Dreger reported on Insider Trading that the Columbus Blue Jackets are willing to listen to offers on Patrik Laine and Ivan Provorov. Dreger also mentioned Boone Jenner, but noted that it's unlikely GM Jarmo Kekalainen would be willing to part ways with the Blue Jackets captain. So in this video, I want to focus on Patrik Laine specifically. Maybe in the next couple of days we can make one of these on Ivan Provorov as well, but I did a video just like this last week on Elvis Merzlikins. We talked about some teams that I feel like would make sense if he is indeed going to end up getting traded, and that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today when it comes to Patrik Laine. These are some teams that I think make the most sense and should actively pursue Patrik Laine if he is on the trade block. Remember to leave a like on the video if you guys do end up enjoying. Let's see if we can hit 800 likes on this one, and of course, if this is your first time coming across the channel and you want NHL content just like this all year long, hit that subscribe button. Now, before we get into which teams I think make the most sense for Patrik Laine, let's talk a little bit about Patrik Laine, the player. He's a 25-year-old winger, has a cap of $8.7 million, and is signed at that number through the 2025-26 season. Now, obviously, at that number, having the kind of season Patrik Laine is having, riddled with injuries, just 9 points, and a -10 through 18 games, that's not necessarily going to be the most valuable trade asset, but in my opinion, when it comes to Patrik Laine, this would be the perfect opportunity for a team to go out there and buy low on Laine, which I think, obviously, there's risk involved, but there's a lot of upside still, too. It feels like he's been in the NHL for such a long time, but Laine is only 25 years old. This is a guy who scored 30-plus in a season 3 times and 20-plus in a season 6 times. I feel like he hasn't really been utilized the best as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets. His first season there under John Tortorella was trying to turn Patrik Laine into, a power forward, a 200-foot player. After Tortorella left Columbus, Laine had a couple of pretty strong seasons in Columbus, although still couldn't stay healthy, only played 56 games in 21-22 and 55 last season. He was right around a point-per-game player in each of those 2 seasons. And then coming into this season, the Blue Jackets decided to start experimenting again and started Laine at the center position, which I feel like was just doomed from the start. I don't know what Columbus saw about Patrik Laine's playstyle that made them think he could be successful as a center. I know the Blue Jackets' organizational depth at center isn't great when it comes to top-end talent, even with Adam Fantilli on the roster, but I still feel like that was just a dumb decision. You have to let Patrik Laine be who Patrik Laine is, and that is a top 6 scoring winger who, when healthy and when confident, is one of the most lethal goal scorers that the NHL has. Patrik Laine scores goals and is an underrated playmaker in my opinion as well. If I had to label his archetype, kind of comparing this, NBA 2K, Patrik Laine I think would be called an offensive threat. So those are kind of my thoughts on Patrik Laine and where he is at this point in his career. Is he worth $8.7 million right now? No. Would there be risk involved trading for him? Yes, but given the fact that Patrik Laine's value is probably at an all-time low right now, and it wouldn't take an insane trade package to pry him out of Columbus, I think it's a risk well worth taking for a handful of teams. So the first team I have on my list is the San Jose Sharks. Pretty self-explanatory here. Cap space, not an issue for the Sharks. This would allow Patrik Laine to go to a team where he's immediately one of the most talented forwards on the roster, can play a top line role, get back to, 18, 19 minutes a night, run the first power play. Now, it should be mentioned, this is all under the assumption that it wouldn't cost a ton to get Patrik Laine from Columbus. If they're asking for, multiple first round draft picks or a first and a top prospect, then obviously that wouldn't make sense for San Jose to do. But if you can manage to get Patrik Laine without giving up one of your own first round draft picks or one of your top prospects, I think it's something that makes sense for a team like San Jose to do. If Laine is able to get back to being that 30-40 goal scorer with the San Jose Sharks, that would probably make him a very valuable trade chip in the final year or 2 of this contract, and they could probably flip him for a lot more than they acquired him for. Or, again, he's only 25. 3-4 years from now when the San Jose Sharks should be starting to turn the corner in this rebuild, Patrik Laine is still going to be in the prime of his career, and he's definitely a guy that the Sharks could try and extend and keep around if they like what they see. Moving along now to the next team on my list, another California team, we have the Anaheim Ducks. I feel like it's safe to say Anaheim is probably a little bit further along in their rebuild than the San Jose Sharks are. A lot of the top guys in the Anaheim Ducks organization when it comes to prospects and young guys already on the team, like, McTavish, Cutter Gauthier, Laine, Leo Carlsson, Trevor Zegras play the center position. I feel like Anaheim really lacks that true top-end sniper to play in their top six. I mean, Troy Terry can score goals, but it's unlikely he's going to be that 37 goal scorer that he was a couple of years ago when he first really broke out. Frank Vatrano's having a fantastic goal scoring season with 21 in 48 games, but at 29 years old and with just one more season on his contract following this year, he's somebody that I'm expecting the Ducks to trade, whether that's at this year's deadline or leading up to next year's. I really feel like Patrik Laine would fit in nicely with the Anaheim Ducks young core. Again, it's another team that probably won't have, playoff aspirations for a couple more seasons. That's a team he can go to and really just play loose, play free, try to get back to being, that 30-40 goal scorer. The Ducks are another team, also like the Sharks, where cap space would not be an issue, and with Trevor Zegras' name sort of floating around in trade talks as of late, kind of makes you think, could there be something that would work centered around a Zegras for Patrik Laine swap? I think it's safe to say Zegras is definitely the more valuable asset of the two right now, so it wouldn't just be, a one-for-one swap straight up, but I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there, something to think about. The next team on my list is the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, this would obviously be a lot more difficult to pull off for Carolina than a team like the Anaheim Ducks or the San Jose Sharks, just due to their salary cap situation, but I'm going to bring Carolina up anyway because they were a team that was heavily linked to Patrik Laine prior to him being dealt to the Columbus Blue Jackets. You have the connection between Sebastian Aho and Patrik Laine, who were completely dominant together in the World Juniors back when they played in the tournament, and I've also said in the past that I think one of the biggest reasons why Carolina hasn't been able to get over the hump in the playoffs and come out of the Eastern Conference is their offense dries up in the playoffs. Jordan Martinook was the Carolina Hurricanes' leading scorer in the postseason last year, and I think Martinook's a solid player, but that's just not cutting it. You add Laine to a top six that already consists of the likes of Marty Necas, Andrei Svechnikov, Teuvo Teravainen, and Sebastian Aho. Maybe those two can rekindle the chemistry they had playing together in the World Juniors. So I definitely think Carolina makes some sense as a potential trade partner for the Blue Jackets when it comes to Patrik Laine. And Carolina, definitely more so than San Jose and Anaheim, would likely be fine with parting with future assets in a trade package. But like I said, them being a team tight to the cap and Laine carrying an $8.7 million cap hit probably makes a trade to Carolina less likely than it would be to, a team like San Jose or Anaheim. Moving along now to the next team on my list, we have the Nashville Predators. It's clear Nashville is a team that doesn't want to fully embrace a rebuild and start tanking. It's looking like they want to retool on the fly while also remaining competitive, and I think they've done a good job of that this season. They currently occupy the second wildcard spot in the Western Conference, and they have largely been carried by their veterans this season, guys like Forsberg, Yossi, and then free agent signings like O'Reilly and Nyquist, but they've also done a good job of letting the young guys play. If they want to keep retooling on the fly, maybe add some already established NHLers who are still relatively young, I think Laine fits that mold beautifully. The Nashville Predators are a team with a ton of cap flexibility heading into the summer of 2024. They also have a plethora of draft picks, 3 second-round picks in this upcoming draft, 2 first-round draft picks in 2025. So the Predators are a team that I would definitely keep an eye on and I think makes some sense for a potential Patrik Laine landing spot. And now finally finishing out the video with the last team on my list, we have the Detroit Red Wings. Now the Red Wings have a decent bit of cap flexibility heading into the summer, but they are going to have to give out what will likely be pretty big extensions to both Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider, so they don't have the kind of flexibility as a team like Anaheim or San Jose, but I do think Detroit would be able to make it work. We saw the Red Wings go out last offseason and acquire an already established sniper in Alex DeBrincat, a guy that can help them win now, but also be a part of the long-term future. Laine is another guy who fits that mold, although more expensive, and his value is a lot lower right now than DeBrincat's was at the time of the trade, so it would definitely be a much bigger risk than the DeBrincat trade, but I do still feel like even with Alex DeBrincat on the roster, the Red Wings lack true high-end goal scoring. Although the Red Wings have been one of the better goal-scoring teams in the league this season, they've been doing it by committee, rolling 4 lines. You got guys chipping in on the first line, second line, third line, and fourth line. A well-rounded top 4 defenseman is probably the Red Wings' biggest need right now, but again, I think they could still use another true sniper, somebody like Patrik Laine. That is, of course, if the price is right. I know the Red Wings currently occupy a playoff spot and overall are having a strong season, but I don't think they're quite in a position yet as to where they should just be, trading their own first-round draft picks and stuff like that. In the DeBrincat trade, they didn't have to trade their own first, so that definitely made the trade a lot easier for the Red Wings to pull the trigger on. But that is going to wrap up this video. Those are my thoughts on the Laine trade speculation and my list of teams that I think would make the most sense as a potential trade partner for the Blue Jackets and landing spots for Laine. As always, I want to know what you guys are thinking, so sound off down below in the comments with which team do you think would make the most sense to go out and try to pry Laine out of Columbus? If there is a trade that's going to happen, what kind of return do you think the Blue Jackets could be looking at? Like I mentioned at the start, if you guys did enjoy this video, please remember to hit that like button. It does help out the video a ton. And lastly, and most importantly, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want NHL content just like this all year round, hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all again soon.